The schizophrenic mind is not so much split as shattered. I like to say schizophrenia is like a waking nightmare, only in sex. A psychotic disorder is a condition that affects the mind, where there has been some loss of contact with reality. When someone becomes ill in this way, it's called a psychotic episode. During a period of psychosis, a person's thoughts and perceptions are disturbed, and the individual may have difficulty understanding what is real and what is not. Some examples of psychotic disorders are schizophrenia, delusional disorder, and paraphrenia. Schizophrenia is a mental illness that impairs a person's ability to understand the world around them. It causes hallucinations, delusions, lack of emotion or interest, and non-rational decision-making. There is a lot of stigma surrounding the disease, with many fearing people who have it. These, combined with the lack of emotion and jumbled speech symptoms, can cause those affected to lose touch with family and friends. Eugene Blula originally created the term schizophrenia, which is Greek for splitting of the mind. Originally, multiple personality disorder was treated as the same disease, hence the splitting definition. He also believed that since the disease did not continually get worse and could improve, that it was not a form of dementia as previously thought. The definitions for the disease were originally very loose and led to many misdiagnoses. Until the 1980s, when a new standardized criteria was created. What really constitutes schizophrenia has changed a lot over the last couple decades, with new discoveries in the requirement to prevent misdiagnosis. This disorder has many variables that can go from severe to non-existent, thus creating a need for specific criteria. The current definition is in its fourth version, DSM-4. The 5 main symptoms are delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech and behavior, and lack of emotion and interest. This is a summary of the criteria for DSM-4. To also confirm or rule out other causes, the patient must have these symptoms for 1 to 6 months, not have a possible schizoaffective disorder, show signs of social dysfunction, and not have any possible physical causes. The consistency of the symptoms can vary, being episodic with or without leftover symptoms, continuous, or ones with very strong negative symptoms. People with schizophrenia may experience stigma and discrimination, and may have physical health problems related to their mental illness and psychiatric medication. However, people with schizophrenia can mitigate symptoms fully, and even if they continue to experience psychiatric symptoms or medication side effects, they can lead full and meaningful lives. Having a family member or friend diagnosed with schizophrenia can be challenging. You may feel confused if the person is displaying behaviors that seem very strange to you. According to ncbi.nlm.nih.com, around 15 out of every 100,000 people have the disease. Classified as a common mental disease, it affects 1.4 men for every one. A generally negative impact on family and friends because it is heavily stigmatized and feared. The hallucinations and delusions, what most people don't see, can be very concerning and even frightening. People who develop the disease often lose all contacts and work and are often left homeless with no treatment. When he was 21, someone tried to kill him, which created fear, so he began to withdraw from social life. he would stay in his room for a week at a time. He began to have paranoid episodes. When we got him to a hospital, he thought there were things put in his brain. He always felt he was being threatened by someone. Due to the lack of sleep and not eating well throughout his life, I believe it contributed to developing schizophrenia. He used to be able to go out by himself and work late at night with no issues. He began to drink alcohol in excess to self-medicate, which only made things worse. Now on medication, he is social with his family, but he is afraid to go out in society. He often had to switch medicines due to gaining resistance over time, but now, with consistent use of medicine, he hasn't developed a resistance against. He is doing much better. My father originally didn't want to tell anyone to know for fear of being locked down upon. He did not even let him go to a psychiatrist because he believed in self-reliability. If he had gotten help, he would have been better off. Causes of schizophrenia are still unknown. That's why treatments focus on eliminating or minimizing the symptoms of the disease. Treatments mostly involve antipsychotics. These are taken daily either in pills or liquid, or they can be also taken as injections once or twice a month. This treatment is different in every patient. Not everyone has the same reactions, secondary effects, or responses to the treatment. Doctors and patients can work together to find the best medication or medication combination and the right dose. The brain may also develop resistance to certain medications over time. Continual monitoring of severity of positive symptoms and cooperation with medical professionals to change medication when needed is sometimes necessary. If persistent, a continual schedule of alternation of medication will be necessary. Antipsychotic medication is not generally effective in negative cognitive symptoms. This treatment is useful when there is a medication that works. Learning and using coping skills to challenge. Psychosocial communal therapy has been shown to help one.
There are a number of therapies that have been tried in schizophrenia, but the most evidence for effectiveness on both the positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia, so the delusions and hallucinations, and the lack of motivation and a lack of affect in schizophrenia. The large majority of the research supports cognitive behavioral therapies as being effective. So with any therapy, the key really is a therapeutic relationship between the person and their therapist. So one that is based on trust and a desire to work together on something. And so, for people with schizophrenia who sometimes are mistrustful, the most important job of the therapist is to engage that person and build trust and develop a sense of with that person that their goals and dreams are achievable and that they can make it from where they are now in the midst of their suffering with schizophrenia to where they want to be, where they had hoped to be before they became ill. That process is negotiated by motivational interviewing. Which is a technique of therapy that's based on based on change theory, based on the idea that there are stages of change that everybody goes through, and that focusing on your goals and your values helps you to make the decisions along the way, make the choice to change, so that you can achieve your goals and values. So those are engagement, motivational interviewing are very central to therapy for schizophrenia. The next and extremely important piece is for someone with schizophrenia to be educated about their disorder. So for them to learn about the fact that it's schizophrenia is a brain development disorder, that it's not their fault. There's really nobody's fault, that it's a genetic disorder, and that these are your symptoms, what are the things that trigger my symptoms, what are the earliest symptoms so that I can nip them in the bud, and what are the things that best help me to become well. So that sort of education and self-management process is central to psychotherapy for schizophrenia as well. And then, for somebody who has schizophrenia, often because of the negative symptoms that made them not want to do anything for a long time, they have missed opportunities along the way to learn important skills: how to live independently, how to cook, how to clean, how to interview for a job, how to resolve conflicts and build good relationships, how to date. All of those things are things that where skills training might be helpful to someone with schizophrenia.